Real Estate Radio 94.9 News Now, stimulating talk. Byron Lazine, Chaz Cook, Ryan Casey of the One Team at William Raveis Real Estate. This is Real Estate Radio. We're going to tell you how much that singles tax is according to the Zillow study, which revealed renters living solo in a one-bedroom apartment, what kind of tax they're paying over people that are living together. Before we do that, make sure you come down and see the Service Station Equipment booth at Mohegan Sun all weekend. The Jenks Home Show, the Home and Garden Show in the Expo Center at Mohegan Sun till 8 o'clock today. Come down and check out the booth. Get a bag. Get a co-branded One Team Service Station Equipment bag so you can fill up on everything throughout the show. Jenks Production does a great job. This is the 42nd annual Southeastern Connecticut Home and Garden Show. Of course, Service Station Equipment's always the best booth. Get out here and be part of the 20,000 attendees that are expected to show up to learn everything they need to know about their home, whether it's for the spring season, the summer season. There's a lot of demand for upgrades. People are staying in their home a little bit longer, might want to upgrade it, might want to renovate it, might want to get that backyard ready for the summer. Home and Garden Shows where you want to do it. Make sure you stop at the Service Station Equipment booth. You can learn all about residential oil tanks there, all of your tanking needs. Pick up that bag and enjoy the entire home show. That's right on the right when you walk in, the 42nd annual Southeastern Connecticut Home and Garden Show at Mohegan Sun. Go check out Dougie and the crew, Service Station Equipment.
I might have to head over there tomorrow and take my wife Jill. There's a seminar from 12:45 to 1 on Sunday, Success with Hydrangeas. I think I bought her 3 now, and only one of them is still alive. So we might have to go get a little schooling from a professional horticulturist.
Get Dougie to pick up the tab on that hydrangea.
There you go.
You know, get Dougie to pick up the tab, just like a lot of single folks are partnering with somebody to pick up the tab on their living expenses. So Zillow did this study, okay? And here's the singles tax. This is what singles are paying more than people that are living together. It amounts to $7,000 a year. That's just the national average, okay? In pricier metros, the amount can be as high as $19,500. Putting another way, cohabitating. Renters can save a collective $14,000 a year because you combine, you see how they got there? Chaz, they combined 7,000 and 7,000 to get to 14,000 or more just by living together. So it's not surprising that people are splitting the rents. Manhattan is $24,000 saving for a solo person, for a single rather. San Francisco's $14,000. So in New York, you would save as a couple $39,000. San Francisco $28,000. San Jose $24,000. San Diego $24,000. Boston $23,000. And again, in the U.S., you save $14,000. So probably Connecticut, we're probably closer to the U.S. average.
Yeah,
you know, we don't have any cities like Boston or San Diego here. So,
I mean, that's the thing. They're targeting big time of, we're the most single people. I mean, I don't think it's also, those markets are pretty crazy. But, I mean, you think of New York City, you think a lot of people fresh out of, college or high school, and they're trying to become, trying to get ahead in the world. And there's a lot of single people in New York, right? And in LA. And it's just the amount of money they must make.
80% of Gen Z admit that finances or logistics contributed to the decision of moving in with a romantic partner, compared to 76% of millennials, 56% of Gen X, 44% of boomers, and then 63% of all respondents. So the younger crew is like, yeah, finances and logistics, but they're like you just said, Ryan, they're like rooming together, like college kids,
Right. So it's...
Well, it's interesting. We talked about it a couple months ago where they were actually encouraging people to go out and buy houses together. And we said that was an absolutely terrible idea because then it's like if that partnership doesn't work out. So I wonder if they are going to look at it where if one person goes and buys the house to make it more affordable, then they go and bring in 2 or 3 roommates to kind of offset that. And maybe that can kind of help with a little bit of the affordability crisis we're seeing.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy with a friend. That's a recipe for disaster. If it's a romantic partner, still a little bit scary. Dave Ramsey would definitely hedge hard against this. Dave Ramsey's on the station here. He would not advise that. He's got his religious beliefs around it, but then obviously, financial partnerships when you're not married can be very tricky. 42% of those who move in with a romantic partner regret their decision. So moving in with a partner can reveal red flags that were easy to hide when both partners lived in separate homes. Daily routines or the lack thereof, and how each one handles change. Okay. You learn a lot more about people's routines and kind of their, the way they operate once you live with them. Previously unknown problems with debt, overdue bills, constant borrowing. Maybe a gambleaholic. That's not in here in the study, but I'm just throwing that in there. A need to control where the other is. Okay. Hey, Ryan, what time you getting home?
Oh yeah,
tonight?
Yeah. I hear that often, but I'm getting home probably.
Do you hear that? You don't hear
all
that,
the time. All the time. Yeah. But I know what I did. I always like to solve my problems. The Find My app. Now you can check.
Yeah.
I just let Lauren. I do it all the time. Right? She can see all the showings that I'm going to after a while. So she doesn't
on the Tesla app.
No, it's on my iPhone app, right? So usually
follow the iPhone app.
Yeah. So that kind of makes it a little bit easier.
The Tesla, you can see if the car door is open,
how fast it's driving, where it is.
Really?
Yeah. So usually what I do is I just keep my phone in the car and then I tell the Tesla to go somewhere else, like to a show, and then I head out. But what's interesting is I looked at this list, of the cities that they mentioned with the highest taxes, and none of those cities hit the cities with the most singles, according to Thriving Center of Psychology. So at first I was thinking, oh man, New York, right?
Right.
Most singles, but no, it's pretty down low. But most cities with the most single women, Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York. Really?
No comment. Yep.
Huh.
But yeah, nothing. I mean, there's no Boston's not in there. And for cities with the most single men, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Boston's not on there. New York's on there. It's not in Los Angeles.
I would have thought New York, I would have thought New York.
Yeah. Nothing. Not even not one single city in New York or California.
Well, maybe in New York, because everyone's always dating in New York, right? Like it's common to date somebody for a week, then start dating somebody else for another week. So they don't have time to be single because they're just constantly dating. They're serial daters.
It could be there. I mean, it snows a lot in Buffalo, so maybe they can't get out into there. To meet people.
Most single men is Minneapolis, Minnesota. So it snows a lot there. Either that or they're at the hockey games.
That's right.
70% of respondents said they were able to save significant money. Okay.
I laughed at significant when we'll break it down. What was it? $1 to $500.
27% said $1 to $500 they were saving.
Significant.
That's inflation for you.
Yeah.
What is the risk reward, right? So you look at, a girl looks at this guy. Well, this guy's a little crazy, but I get to save X amount of money. Is it worth it?
$1 to $500?
Yeah. It depends. New York's expensive. So you got to see what that risk reward is.
Here's the reasons as to why 40% regret their decision to move in with a partner. And this is where it gets tricky. If you're buying a house, and then it actually keeps relationships together longer maybe than they would have if they weren't living together, or if they just had a rent. It's like, all right, your name's on the lease. Screw you. I'm out of here. You can pick up the lease. But when you own a house together, it gets a lot more tricky.
Oh, yeah.
48% say the relationship just didn't work out. 31% we moved too fast, rushed into it. That's what Dave Ramsey would actually advise against. 27% we realized we weren't compatible for co-living. I've never not lived with someone. I've never lived alone in my entire life. 38 years, I've never lived alone.
I think number 3 is healthy if you are trying to pursue the relationship to the next level, right? You need to understand whether or not you are compatible to co-live. Right. At some point, you have to kind of go down that path, because if you don't, and then you just get married and move in together, you haven't learned about those daily routines or, those personal habits.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't want to get married to somebody I've never lived with, but there's a lot of people that might disagree just based off their religious beliefs.
They can get a 2-bedroom.
22% we broke up. It was stressful to divide the things we had purchased together. How do you divide a dog? That's a tough one.
Yeah.
What would you do, Chaz?
I would take the dog.
Cut the tail off, make a little pet. What were those little pet keychain tails?
Like a rabbit
tails.
Foot?
Rabbit foot. Yeah.
No way, man. That's a tough one. I would be like, who wanted the dog? Or how do you let the dog choose?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's brutal right there. It's more brutal for the dog than it is for the people.
I mean, on a more serious note, I've dealt with this a few times, right? And it's tricky.
With dogs?
Dogs, yep. There's always, I mean, we can always go so far, but there's always that mediation. We try to make it smooth and whatever. But I've gone on showings where the husband and wife, they hate each other. They're going through a divorce. They're in the same room. It's pretty uncomfortable. And I say, hey guys, this is a lot going on, a lot to think about. And I mean, a lot of times listing, getting a house on the market to its highest potential can be tricky.
Well, divorce sales are often hard to navigate. Just based off of my experience, there's often times where, one person doesn't want to sell and one does want to sell. And so, right. Sometimes they have to sell, but one's kind of pushing against that. That's where it gets a little. Let me tell you why it's so tough now, because let's say hypothetically someone's married, they're getting a divorce, and what the wife's going to buy the husband out. Well, he's got to refinance 20% down, and maybe he got the house for 3% a year or so ago, and now he has to pay 6.5%, whatever the interest rate is at. Right. Yeah, so now it gets a little tricky. You would want to assume that mortgage, right? If you can assume that original mortgage for sure. The logistics of moving out after we break up are too difficult. See, that's what keeps people together. Like just the logistics of doing this.
Finding another place to go.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So there you go.
Love is in the air.
Love is in the air till it's out of the air, till you move in together, right? And but a lot of people are doing it to save money. Makes sense. We're going to talk about later on in the show what happened with mortgage interest rates this week. If you're just headline reading, you would have read one thing 2 weeks ago, and mortgage interest rates have completely changed on a dime. And so what you could afford just literally 2 weeks ago is different than today. And I think when we get on the show next Saturday, it's going to be even different. That's a whole nother story. We're going to cover that later on in the show, so stay with us. But if you want us to cover your expense of having a bag to walk around the home show, come over to Service Station Equipment booth. We've got One Team Service Station Equipment co-branded bags. Grab it right when you walk into the booth on the right. Just tell Dougie, hey, Byron and the boys on Real Estate Radio said, I get one. And I'm going to go walk around this home show and fill this thing up to the brim with all the free gifts that the great vendors at the home show are giving out. Listen, we're in inflationary times. We're in times right now where every dollar counts. Go fill up. You're going to pay $10 to get into the home show. Go fill up the Service Station Equipment bag with a whole bunch of free stuff. Go home, slap it on eBay. Stay away from the tables when you walk out of Mohegan. Keep the money in your pocket. Make some money because things are getting crazy out there. Come see us at the home show. It's the Jenks 42nd annual home and garden show at Mohegan Sun. Service Station Equipment booth is right on the right when you walk in. We'll be right back. Real Estate Radio, 94.9 News Now, stimulating talk.